right.
We'll call the regular meeting of the Marshall City Council to order, starting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We do have an agenda before us. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, we will operate under that agenda. First thing on the agenda is to consider the approval of the minutes from the meeting held on September 23rd. Are there any additions, changes, or corrections that anyone wants?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Motion made by John, or by Jim, seconded by John. Any further discussion? If not, we'll move to a vote.
Matt doesn't have a computer correct, so I did this by voice, remember?
Okay, we'll do a voice vote tonight. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next thing on the agenda is the consent agenda. First item is Emergency Response Services Contract between Archer Daniels Midland Company, known as ADM, and the City of Marshall's Fire Department to consider the approval of agreements with MetLife for voluntary employee vision and supplemental insurances. Consider the approval of the 2026 wage schedule for temporary and seasonal employees. Consider approval of an outdoor public fireworks display permit for Prairie Home Hospice on November 28th, 2025. Consider the request of Prairie Home Hospice and Community Care for the Light Up the Night Parade on Friday, November 28th, 2025. Consider approval of an LG 214 premises permit application for the Marshall Amateur Hockey Association. Project ST013 North High Street, North 4th to Oak Reconstruction Project. Consider resolution ordering preparation of a report on improvement. Terminating a variance adjustment permit for a reduced side yard setback at 304 East Marshall Street. Terminating a variance adjustment permit for a reduced rear yard setback at 501 Village Drive. And then to consider approval of the bills and projects payments. Any item on the consent agenda that anyone wishes to have removed for single action?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Jim, seconded by C to accept the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries. New business. Consider an amendment to the public art agreement with Sammy Joe Miller, drawn to Marshall Art Project. Sharon, are you going to start with this?
Sure am. Mr. President Pro Tem, we did have a request after the council's last approval to make an amendment to the public art agreement from the artist. And those two revisions are in 2.1, which is on page 1 of the public art agreement. The artist wanted the sentence added in 2.1, the artist retains a discretion to make creative and technical adjustments within the approved scope and budget as required by fabrication realities or professional judgment. We also adjusted the term of the agreement, considering we did have further and longer discussion on the location, along with some concept design questions such as branding and the use of the logo. So the term, which is in section 5.1, was changed to terminate no later than December 31st, 2025. Those were the only changes. We have had some additional conversation with the artist, and I know our city attorney has had some back and forth on this as well. And if she feels she wants to add anything, I'll pause here for her further comments.
Okay. Pam?
Yeah. Mr. President Pro Tem, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So good evening. I know that you all received an overview of a handout with additional requests for changes to the agreement that you've already approved. And so there was, as Sharon had mentioned, some additional back and forth. And I just want to clarify a few things on the handout that you got. I certainly am not going to go into detail unless you have questions about it for me. But I do want to say that part of what I think is An issue is that there's a lack of understanding that we as staff can have the authority from you as council to negotiate these things, but that you're the ultimate decision maker. And so when an agreement has been approved by you, we can't just willy-nilly change it without bringing it back in front of you for approval. So I want to put that out there. With respect to the term sheet, the additional term sheet, the agreement that we brought in front of you last week and then further negotiation this week was months of negotiation with the artist previously, and the city incorporated many of her requests from an artist agreement, and that's what you saw and approved last time. The additional requests, there's some mention that these additional requests are being made to be compliant with the grant agreement from SMAC. And I just want to make sure that you all as a council know that we did loop in SMAC about that, and about the grant, because the grant was considered when we initially drafted the agreement, the contract that you already approved. And the direct quote from them is, "The agreement between the city and the artist is beyond the scope of our organization's involvement." And so I want to make sure that council doesn't see on that term sheet that these things that are allegedly not included have to be included because of the grant. That is not the case. Just high level, the compensation request is already in the contract. There's issues with relocation and removal. I think that it's easy to confuse owning a design to something to actually owning the actual piece of art. And we have had situations in our city where things need to be repaired, removed or repaired down the road, and we haven't been able to find the artist. So in the agreement that you all approved, we had the ability of the city to be able to, after notice to the artist and a time to hear back from that artist, we had the ability as the owner of the art to relocate or remove. So I wanted to make sure that that got addressed. And then there was some concern about the fact that there was references to independent contractor in that we do that in all our vendor agreements. The city doesn't ever want to have somebody come say that they were an employee during that time frame, which would open us up to having to pay things like benefits or workers' compensation if somebody was injured during the course of it. So that is why that independent contractor clause is in the agreement that you have already approved. So I think that is my overview. So if you have any specific questions, please let me know, and I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions or comments?
I have a question. So Pam, we've already have an agreement in place, correct?
Correct, you approved it.
We've approved the agreement, and now she's trying to change the terms of that agreement.
Correct.
Per se, after we have a signed contract with her.
Well, she has not signed it.
She has
hasn't
not signed
signed
it, but when we had the original terms of agreement, she agreed to those original terms.
Correct. We have emails showing that
So she has
after
moved,
negotiation.
so I'm trying to wrap this around my head, because I'm a contractor too. So she's moved
Right.
the goalposts after negotiations.
Correct.
Okay. That answers, and I do work for cities too, and moving goalposts is something that just frustrates the living daylights out of me. So,
Other questions or comments?
So what are some of those amendments that she wants?
So those are in front of you, council member. She wanted some further clarification on compensation, but the compensation provision is included that you already approved, lays out what she had wanted. She wants changes to the relocation or removal provision that you had approved already, so that we, limiting the city's ability to relocate or remove, and only in certain circumstances, which that would really put us in a corner as far as we own this piece of art and it is in our park, let's say, but then something happens and we would not be able to relocate or remove it. So that is that is an issue. And then, you know, along those same lines, we had the mural, for example, that needed some repairs, and we had a heck of a time finding the artist to be able to get the permission just to repair the mural. So this agreement that you already approved was written in a way that if we did not hear back from them for 30 days from the artist, then we could go ahead and make those repairs or improvements. There was some language in there that was directing the city and how to act in a certain manner with respect to maintenance, which would be very oppressive for city staff. And that was something new I had never heard about before until seeing this term sheet. And then she had, like I had explained, she had issues with the independent contractor provision. And she also said that one of her concerns was that the agreement, which addresses VACA, which is a federal law for visual arts, she was concerned that our provision, our contract violated that. Our provision in the contract that you already agreed to stated that we would only make those changes, as I've been talking to about the art, if it was in, and we would be able to do that only when it was in direct conflict with what VACA would otherwise require, which basically says we couldn't touch it otherwise. And that is something that we can negotiate with the artist about. And something she had previously agreed to and then apparently had changed her position on.
Any other questions or comments?
Do you feel that her changes are fair, or?
I think that her changes put the city at risk. And as I had told the artist, when she was pushing back, I said, I can't make these decisions. That's a council decision. They've already approved a negotiated agreement. So if any changes that you want that are substantive in nature, you need to have that be council approved with the timeframe of this. And I had told her, but I will share with council what my concerns are. And as I've said tonight, the big concerns that I have are putting basically handcuffs on the city on relocating, removing, maintaining this piece of art that the city owns, but then could do nothing with. There was also some concerns about language that was written in there that any changes to the design that you approved, which was just a same or similar type provision that the design has to be same or similar to what you saw and approved, that if there was something that was completely different, then that had to go through Sharon to be approved. And the reasoning for that is, what if it is something that is offensive to some other group in our community, or might be obscene or something like that? Not that that would happen, but we need to think about that. And if you approved a design and you approved something that's same or similar, and if there's a design that comes out that is completely not what you were thinking, and somebody gets upset or offended, we haven't seen it, that puts us in a real pickle as well.
And it's kind of the concept is that the concerns that were brought forward are more than minor amendments. And it's typically not our practice or policy to do specific contract negotiations as a full council in open session. So the recommendation is that those changes or conversations go back to staff and our city staff and our attorney, and those are negotiated there, and recommendations are brought back again after that's done to the council for review and action. And that's kind of where we left it. So that's where we're at here, is with what was brought forward with the most recent, and obviously there's still concerns with the artist, and that's something then that if she doesn't like the agreement here, then I guess that's action later, but it's not action to come in front of the council in a public forum. Mm-hmm. Is that right, Pam? I mean, I think that's pretty much the cover of it.
I would say that if you gave me direction after looking at this term sheet to negotiate on certain parts of it, but as your legal representative, the contract that you approved already was a fully negotiated contract that protected the city, as well as provided the artist the ability to do the project and get paid for it. But any of the terms that are on the term sheet in front of you, I would say, especially with many of them, 12.1, 2, 3, 4, 13.1, I would, as your legal counsel, advise you not to agree to those terms because they open up the city to situations that aren't protective of the city interest.
Yeah, I would add that we already, like you said, Pam, you negotiated an agreement with her, which was brought to city council, and we voted on that agreement, all of us in good faith, and then she changed the agreement afterwards. I guess you can't change the game after agreement's been made. That's like going back and rebidding after a bid has been opened. You know, Jason and I, we've talked about that. That to me is unacceptable. I think that we as a council should stick to the agreement that we have made, that you negotiated with her for the course of a long time. I know that may cause headaches, but it's already been negotiated, already been agreed upon. And I think that's what we need to stick with, what was negotiated.
Yeah, and the risk is that the artist might say, this isn't, I'm not doing it then. I'm not signing.
And that's fine. I get an odd feeling we could probably find another artist at some point to do this. I mean, I'm assuming there's another artist out there. I could be wrong.
Well, we certainly wouldn't be able to use the same design. That is.
And that's fine too, so.
So what are the council's wishes? We do have an amendment to the contract, to the public art agreement with Sammy Joe Miller, drawn to Marshall in front of us.
I make a motion to deny the amendment and stick with the original agreement.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to deny the amendment and to go with the original agreement. Any further discussion? And I do have discussion on that, is that the amendment that's before us is minor changes that were negotiated by staff with Sammy Joe. So those are amendments that are before us in our packet that are acceptable to the city. The items that we talked about here is a secondary that the artist has submitted after what's in our packet. And if I believe I have that right, Pam?
Yeah, so the motion is to accept the contract as amended in the packet.
No, it's to deny what's in the packet and to go back to the original. So we can take a vote on that. If it passes, then even the work that you did to this would go down, or we can have it fail and possibly get a secondary motion, I believe. I think we can. Yep.
I would just let the council know that the amendments that are in the packet are minor and don't open up any risk to the city. So, and those were requested to the artist. So to the extent the council would like to, have an olive branch of, yes, we did listen, other than, these things that previously before tonight weren't negotiated. That's something for the council to consider.
I just,
Because-
go ahead. I'm sorry. Pat.
They're minor. The 2.1, paragraph 2.1, and what was the other paragraph, Sharon?
It was,
2.4.
the term was 5.1.
Yeah.
I just worry that we're opening up a rabbit hole. You agree to it, then she comes back with more.
It's not, okay.
It-
It
it's-
is not unusual to have minor changes to contracts come forward. And this one was done, I think, reasonably. But we do have a motion and a second on the table. So without any further discussion, I will call the vote.
I think we should do a roll vote on this, if that's all right. President Pro Tem.
Sure, that's fine. Clerk, want to call the roll?
So wait, what are we
Okay, so if you vote yes on the motion, we don't accept the negotiated amendment that's on the agenda item 12 now, and it just goes back to what we voted on previously. If you vote no, then that motion fails, and we would have the option to make a secondary motion that actually accepts the proposed minor amendments to the agreement, and that's the olive branch that Pam had commented to.
Okay, so no is the agreement that Pam has already looked through and negotiated.
No would get us back to a potential for a motion to accept the agreement, but no, Jim's motion was to deny this amendment and just go back to what we had originally
A
approved.
yes vote goes back to the original agreement, a no vote goes,
President Pro Tem, let me just cover some dates. We approved the artist agreement, the first one on September 23rd at that council meeting.
Right.
Following that council meeting, there was no signature, and there was a request by the artist to add that one section in 2.1, which we offered to put it to the exhibit, or the Exhibit B, I think it was.
Correct.
That was not acceptable to her. We then said we'll put it into 2.1. Following that, staff, not myself, but our community ed director had discussions with the Art Council about timelines, because this discussion had delayed it, and they were agreeable to extend the timeline. So that's the other amendment. There was some questions, I think, around September 30th about use of the logo, because we have brand standards that we adopted when we initiated our new brand. And we're always kind of trying to look out for that. Not everybody communicates with us, but in this case, it's our art project. We wanted to make sure we're following brand standards. Last Thursday, whatever date that was, she was given the updated agreement, which contained her recommended amendment plus the changed term down to the end of the year. And following that, there was multiple requests for revisions. It wasn't just 2.1, there was a whole listing. What she provided tonight is different than what our city attorney and myself got via email the last several days. This is different. 2.1, add city administrator for approval of any design changes. That's not correct. It was in the first agreement on September 23rd. And it doesn't say any design, it says major,
Substantial changes.
significant changes.
Yeah.
So, I'd have to review this word for word to see what's correct or not correct. But, so just to kind of give a timeline. I kind of recommend approval of this agreement because it's what she requested prior to October 9th. After October 9th, we got more revisions. I recommend approval of what's in the packet.
Right. And that's the motion, and on now is to deny what's in the
Yeah,
packet.
correct.
I will remove my motion if John removes the second.
I misunderstood.
That's
I thought
fine.
we were voting on this.
Right, yeah, no, and totally understandable. It's a complicated issue.
Yeah.
So that said, is there a motion a new motion on item 12 to consider an amendment to the public art agreement with Sammy Joe Miller drawn to Marshall Art Project?
And can we clarify that it is the amendments that are reflected in the packet and not the last minute
Yep.
proposed amendments?
It is
Thank you.
absolutely, the motion would be in the packet.
Thank you.
John?
Second.
I second the motion in the packet.
Okay, C, gotcha. So motion by John, seconded by C.
Over here.
No, I heard you, you were just late. To approve the amendment to the public art agreement with Sammy Joe Miller drawn to Marshall. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Can we do a roll vote on it, please?
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Stephen, call the roll, please.
Alcorn?
Pardon me?
Alcorn.
Yes.
Lozinski.
No.
Wolesky.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Okay, so that passes. Thank you, everyone. I know it's kind of a complicated issue, and thank you, staff. Pam, thanks a lot. I know you've got another meeting to get to, so thank you very much for your help on this.
Of course.
So next on the agenda is an aquatic center update. Stephen is, who is this? Oh, it's Preston. I'm sorry, Preston. Oh, you better get up here. You sat here and waited. Will be nice.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Schaefer and Council. I believe Stephen is going to put up first a flyover, the latest drone flyover of the site.
Who's our pilot on this flight?
I believe that would be
Alex
Mr.
Peterson.
Alex Peterson.
City's registered pilot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And afterwards, we do have some still shots. It might be easier instead of trying to point to a moving screen that I can go through kind of
That
progress
roundabout.
updates.
I just said this shit. Look at that roundabout. Don't look at the pool, look at the roundabout.
Isn't this roundabout?
That's a roundabout's cool, too.
Roundabout's
Put a
as
pool
big
in
as
the
the
middle
pool.
of that.
Yeah,
You can put a pool in the
a
roundabout.
little kiddie pool.
Volcano.
Duck pond.
When was this taken?
Is it last week, Alex? Early last week, I believe.
Look at it, they had the zero depth.
Looking pretty impressive.
The sea pool looks good.
Got the sea pool.
We've got a backhoe working in there, I like that, or a excavator.
That's the splash pad that's
Oh,
working
yeah.
on, correct?
Yep.
It's huge. Footings are all in for the slides.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't know how long you want to keep going, but if you pull up, so I'll probably go over to the TV here because it'll be easier to point. Can't hear you though. Oh, man, sorry. All right.
Just take the podium.
You have portable? Yeah, take the podium with you.
It's coming along.
He's got a portable.
All right, will this work, Alex?
Price is right.
Okay, that's good. So here is what we see as the concept that we're building off of with the ad alternates. If you guys remember, when we went to redesign and rebid, prices were favorable, so we were able to add in the slides and the splash pad, and I believe also some shade structures as part of that. So if you go to the next picture there. There would be the site prior to any construction back in probably April. I'm gonna guess we kind of started moving in May. And here it is as of last week. And I would even say there's been significant changes out there today from this picture. Noticeably along the West College Drive project, where you can see kind of lots of pipe and piles of dirt and equipment sitting. All of the stormwater piping and ponds have kind of been dug, not to perfect grade, but they're taking shape, I will say. I'll also add that over on the splash pad area where you can see this leveled area here, the Global Specialties is in doing all the final plumbing into the splash pad site. And once they have that completed, all of the plumbing for the mechanical systems of the operations of the pool will be complete.
Looks like the roofs are significantly done on both buildings. That's huge.
Yep. The roofs are all done and sealed up. The only thing we're waiting for on the roofs is like the roof cap that would go over the precast wall to kind of seal up that rubber liner membrane. They've started caulking the joints on the inside or in the middle. There's actually 3 caulk joints on a precast. So the mid joint and the interior joints are being worked on. We're waiting to do the exterior joint until after acid washing the buildings next spring, just with all the dirt and dust flying around to keep it clean as we can. Also, lots of doors have been installed on the building. All the floors are entirely inside. And the windows have been measured for to get, so we can get the building sealed up. The mechanical side, which would be probably the 2/3, I would say, from here over, will be heated all winter. We're going to do a temp heat. That'll allow Global to continue to work in there with their crews to install the equipment and run all the plumbing, that kind of thing that's needed. So from the outside, it might not look like there's a lot going on during the winter. But as we know, kind of the guts of the operation relies in that mechanical room. And just like we saw throughout the construction phases, kind of the spaghetti noodles of pipes running everywhere, there's going to be some spaghetti going on in that, the mechanical room as well. Over on the far upper left corner, sorry, can you go back? There you go. You can see all of those yellow tubes are all the slide footings, not only for the slides themselves, but also for the slide platform that would have the steps and everything going up.
Preston, I think it'd be good maybe right now to talk a little bit too about, I know at our last Aquatic Center committee meeting, there was a lot of emphasis put on how well the trades are working together and how that's advancing. And I think this is a good time to tip our hat to those trades and talk about that a little bit too, because that's very positive about this project.
Absolutely. Yes, numerous local contractors involved in many different aspects of the project. And as we know, we had a really wet summer. So to get to this point and say that we're on track or, trending forward ahead is really promising, knowing kind of what we were dealt with. But from the electrical to plumbing to dirt work and all the things, everybody's helping each other for the benefit of the community and the facility versus, not working side by side and maybe more so finger pointing. So it's been a really great partnership with all the contractors, which allows us to keep moving and keeps everybody going in the right direction.
And I think the term we came up with as a group there is it's significantly on schedule.
Yes, that
Or
works.
substantially on schedule.
I would
Mr.
add,
Mayor, if you're listening in, that's specifically for you, bud.
also just some finer details that you wouldn't see there. I believe they're pouring or plan to pour the steps into the pools this week. And then the Leisure River also has the tile work done around the weir line that you wouldn't see from driving by. But just there's lots of things going on that maybe aren't going to stick out from the road so much. But there's, again, another look at all the footings. I can't remember if there's 37 or 39 footings and foundations for the slides.
Better to have extra than sit a couple.
Yep. I think today at the pool with the existing slide, we have 4 for the tower and 2 for the slide. So, great progress is being made. They were also talking about they have to do a water test of the pools to make sure there's no leaks. They were thinking about filling the deep water pool up possibly this week. And then they would basically fill it to a level and it would hold for so long and make sure there's no water loss. So,
No, they dry that out again to go into winter, correct?
Yep. Nope. That's just part of their testing procedure that they have to do on all the pools.
Still a liner.
Yep. The liner, or what they call the Diamond Bright finish, which is the finish you see, we'll put on in the spring / early summer. And the reason I say that is once you install that, it actually cures underwater. So you have to put in the liner and then fill it with water right away, and it has to sit. And that's the curing process is a wet cure. So trying to think of other things. All the pumps and motors for the filtration systems are in and sitting down in the mechanical room basement. The electricians, I know, are starting to work on like hanging the lights inside the mechanical room and that kind of stuff. So getting down to more of the detail stuff versus the big picture stuff. And then they're also working, even this morning when I was there, where all those yellow tubes are now, that's all backfilled up to grade. So they're prepping to get it to subgrade to do deck work, which we haven't decided. We might let it just do the freeze thaw process over winter and then just do all the deck work in the spring. But we'll just see what Mother Nature gives us here. So, but yes, significant progress. It changes, like I say, for sure weekly, but things change daily too, and come together really nicely. And just applaud all the contractors that have kept moving the project forward, and be great for not only our community but the region. And feel like we've been talking about it for a long time, and every day we're one day closer. So happy to answer any questions if there are any, or if you guys are hearing anything out in the public.
Mr. President Pro Tem?
Yes,
Can I
ma'am.
just comment on a few things?
Yes.
Yeah, the mayor and I did get to walk through it not too long ago, and I was amazed how much progress has been made. I haven't been on site for quite a while though either, just kind of looking at it from the road. But I'm not a mechanically inclined like the rest of you, so it was good to see some of the buildings, and I kind of could understand it a little bit more too. But with that being said, it was kind of a privilege to get to walk through there, and I know not everyone here on council has been able to do that. We have an aquatic center committee meeting tomorrow, I believe, so if the weather holds, we can maybe do some walking around too. But the question is, and I don't know how we would do this, or how, we'd got to look at open meeting law too, is what's the best way to kind of schedule if council members want tours? Should we do it one-on-one, one by one, or get some folks together and more so Councilmember Lizinski, Schroeder, and Schwartz, who have not been there yet? So any thoughts on that, Preston?
Yeah, I'm happy to accommodate whatever might work, because everyone's schedule might be a little different. If it's time that works for you, Jim or Amanda, happy to meet there whenever that is, whether it's at night or weekend, whatever works. So if you guys are interested, so, yeah. So, and
Mr.
before it gets too cold, so.
Mr. President Pro Tem,
Yes, Pam.
can I ask Preston a quick question?
Absolutely.
Is this a safe area if you noticed it as a meeting with no official city business, it would have to allow any public to show up to see it too? Is that not something that would be a safe area for public?
I mean, I would say it's safe, but there's a, hard hat and a high vis, that kind of stuff that's required, which we have some, as we're doing these and hosting meetings. But, if all of a sudden 30 people were there, that might be a little different.
Right. Because I was going to say, you could just notice it as a meeting with no official city business, but then you'd have to accommodate anybody who showed up. So if that's the case, then it'd be better just to go less than a quorum.
Right. I like the 3-by idea. Makes a lot of sense.
Yep, or if it's single or whatever,
There's
yeah.
3 on the committee, so the 3 that aren't on the committee, if they can get together, that would be awesome. I think it's worth your time. If you have the opportunity, I think you should do it.
That's cool.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested, just reach out and let Chair know or myself know, and happy to accommodate whatever time works best. So,
Awesome. Thank you, Preston.
yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you. So our next item on the agenda is to consider approval or the appointments to the various boards. So we've actually, in the last couple of meetings, interviewed 2 applicants for the Planning Commission. And originally, when we interviewed Noah, we thought we only had 1 position open. And then I find out that no, actually, we have 2 positions open. We have a 2-year partial term that expires on May 31st of 27, and then a full 3-year term that expires on May 31st of 2028. So my recommendation to the council is for the term expiring on May 31st, 2027, to appoint Nick, and I apologize,
Melchett.
Noah. And I thought I pulled that item out of my folder, but apparently I did not. Johnson? Okay, Noah Johnson to the term expiring on May 31st, 2027, and I recommend that Nick Malachek be appointed to the term expiring on May 31st of 2028. And I would entertain a motion to
I'll
that.
make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion made by Jim, seconded by Amanda for those appointments to the Planning Commission. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Those appointments are Adopted. Next on the agenda is Commission Board Liaison Reports. Amanda?
Yeah, both of mine met. Well, two of them did, I should say. The library board, they are currently in a holding pattern, waiting on the 2026 budget, kind of just waiting on the county, which they have not gotten indication from. They have a lot of upcoming events, so go ahead and check out their calendar on Facebook or their website. For example, on Halloween, from 4 to 6, if you go in your costume, Craig, you will get a treat.
Sweet.
So,
Can I
and
go in as me, 1975?
we don't want to scare anybody, so.
Then I can't go.
Okay. Well, the second one, community services, we received a presentation from the Marshall Public Schools regarding the referendum and some winter, spring brochure dates to note. The hard copy brochure should be in your mailbox on December 15th and possibly a sneak peek prior. And then registration for that opens on December 17th at noon.
Very good.
That's it.
John?
No EDA meets tomorrow?
Okay. See?
Sarah also came from the school to do the presentation on the referendum. So if early voting is happening right now, so head over to the school district for voting. They introduced the 2026 budget. And then they just kind of gave a recap on the Arts and Living History Festival, which happened a couple weeks ago, and they had over 750 visitors, which was pretty amazing. And they are starting their strategic plan for the next 5 years. And we just kind of talked a little bit about Taste of Marshall. They had over 500 participants attend that event. That's all I have.
Jim?
Mine's not me.
Even, so I had only one of significance. The Airport Commission met, and of course, I didn't adjust my calendar. I adjusted it starting next month. We did change the meeting dates, so I planned on going a day late, and so I missed that, but I'm sure that Jason will cover that in his report, anything significant. And the PI&T committee did meet on the October 2nd, and we actually had 8 items, 8 projects. It was a pretty significant meeting, and there's a number of, we did have a mosquito control discussion, and so we're looking at that just for the public to understand that we do hear you, and we are looking at the possibility of doing some, obviously it won't be any good this year, but we're going to try to address potentials for doing some mosquito control measures. And we just discussed a number of other projects that are coming up that will come before council at a point in time for recommendation. And then just to touch on what C said about the Arts and Living History, I did spend the day there that Saturday, and it was awesome. It was very well attended. It was very well done. And I think it's good. I'm really glad to see that, and I think that's very strong for the community. So people, keep your eye out for those things when they come. It's really worth your walk. You can go there and plan a half an hour. Don't be surprised if you spend 3 or 4. So just real good for that, and that's all I have. So under council individual items, Jim.
The only thing I have, and I've said this for as long as I've been on council, I received a letter in the mail again this week, which is fine. Please send me letters, give me correspondence. Sign them. If you do not sign your letters, you do not tell me who you are, I throw them away. If it comes to a thing with the city marshal, I'm open, I'm all ears. I'm here to try to make the city better. I will listen to you. I do not value letters that are not signed. I am not here to, we're all of us on council are here to listen to you. But if it comes with no return address, no signature, I don't know who you are to engage with you, to have that conversation, to try to correct what issue you have with. So please sign your letters. We're not out here. We're not here to attack you. We're here to listen to you as citizens. Everybody on this council is. So please sign your letters. That's on my soapbox tonight. That's all I am. We're here to help you. We're here to listen to you. We're here to make Marshall better for everybody. That's all I have tonight.
Jim C.
Just a reminder, I'm inviting everyone to the Hmong New Year being held this Saturday. Sharon's going to be part of the ribbon cutting ceremony and doing a welcome. So super excited. I will be there, decked out in my Hmong outfit, and which my husband got a vest was a little too tight, and I said, just keep it unzipped. Should be good. Nobody will notice. He's going to be so embarrassed. Hopefully he doesn't watch this. But it will be 9 to 3 at the Red Baron Center, and 7 to 11:30, and it is free admission, and there'll be some food trucks there. And we want to thank the City of Marshall for being a sponsor, and we want to thank Southwest Initiative Foundation for helping out. So really excited. Hope you all can attend if you're around. That's all I have.
John?
Nothing.
Nothing. I'm going to, Jim, you forgot something on your soapbox.
I did?
Yes. The crossing signals, the pedestrian crosswalks.
I'll let you handle that soapbox today, because I've been on that one for 2 months.
So my wife doesn't say a whole lot, but when she does, I've learned to listen. And she was very irritated about a week and a half ago. The crosswalk over here on East Main Street, the light was flashing. There was a mail carrier on foot trying to cross, and they were in the crosswalk with the button push lights flashing. 3 vehicles never slowed down, drove right through, the third one being a mail carrier in the little Grumman mailbox. So I'm not bashing the postal people, I'm bashing everybody. Those signals, when those lights are blinking, that means there's a pedestrian. It's not quite as strong as a school bus with the arm out, but it's still a pedestrian. People, figure it out. Start stopping for those, or otherwise, I don't want to give the police department all kinds of little things to watch. They shouldn't have to watch that. We're all smart enough to manage that. But apparently, if not, maybe somebody needs to get bit.
Well, I believe, Craig, a pedestrian, and Jim Marshall is here to answer, but I think a pedestrian always has a right of way in a crosswalk.
They always do. Yep.
Without the flashing lights. Jason's shaking his head, yes. Just watch out for pedestrians. I mean, if they're in a crosswalk, stop your vehicle and let them cross the road. It, like you said, it is not that hard to figure out.
It's not rocket science, so it can't get much better other than a red light or red flashing lights. When those yellows are flashing at those marked crosswalks, that's for a reason. Those crosswalks have been identified as significant risk potential crosswalks. That's why they've got that system. Those systems aren't cheap. They're not cheap to put in. They're not cheap to operate, and neither's a life. So come on, people, let's just get with it. I'm not even going to talk about dog poop tonight. I'm just going to talk about crosswalks. I'm giving you a break. So that's all I have. So next on the agenda is staff reports. Sharon.
Mr. President Pro Tem, just want to point out, we do have a strategic plan and major project updates as an information-only item. So a lot of projects this year meet our strategic plan goals, and you'll kind of see we're almost nearing completion on a number of them, parks and public works, so if you want to look at specific projects. So just want to point that out. One other thing I want to comment on is we, as most of you know, were referenced in legislation for the ban shell. And part of that was eligibility to apply for a grant. And we've submitted a pre-application, and now the final one is due this Friday. Been working with staff on this. We did get comments back. They give, which is really kind of nice for us. They give us some advice on how to make a successful final grant application. There's 8 projects, and the total availability is $2 million. So lots more requests. Our original estimate on this, which is already dated, it's a March 2024 estimate, is at $1 million. We've looked at other options for the ban shell, such as doing a kit. We're still well over $500,000 without talking about ADA accessibility, which is a huge part of this as well. So I just wanted to inform the council, we may look at phasing this. It's going to be kind of hard too. There's some design factors here. There's some landscaping, but the major expense is the actual structure itself. But it doesn't appear that we're going to get, I think we originally requested 750 from the legislature. It looks like it's going to be potentially a lot less. It still has value, we believe, in order to get outside funding. But it may mean additional fundraising, maybe seeking some other grants where there may be some potential. Yeah, so a little disappointing, but we knew it was going to be competitive. We kind of said that from the beginning on the grant, that it would be competitive. And hopefully we can phase it out to where we can still make progress. The funding is over a 2-year period, 2026 to 2027. So we would want the delayed funding just to kind of get more things in place. But regardless, that would mean funding starting in July of 2026 and going until June of 2027. So it still kind of pushes us a little bit. But wanted to update you on that. If you want any information on the estimate or have any feedback, we'd certainly take it. And I just kind of kept Preston here. If there's any questions you have for him on this too, he'd be happy to answer. But that's all I had, Mr. President Pro Tem.
Is that project potentially legacy fund eligible?
You know, I've had some
The lottery?
preliminary discussions on that. I mean, I had someone mention Lassard Sams. I know I looked at that funding cycle. I think that might already be into 2028. It's maybe 2027. I gotta look back again. It's a long process. But, you know, depending on where we're at with this, if we can phase it, maybe we get to a certain point and look at other funding such as legacy. We're really concerned about the structure. We've had an updated structural assessment this year. We're not sure we should keep it over
nervous
into
about
next
having
year,
people sit under
just
there.
for safety, and we'll have to figure out some other remedies for performance. I know historically when there was not the venue that's currently there, I know they used to play, I think it was by the high school, or the school that was near here, and they simply played it in front of a brick wall, and that was enough to project sound. We have a stage that's really, really, really good, but it's, at the same time, you know, where at and what's the best projection of sound. So we'll have to kind of navigate that a little bit, but.
Thank you. Jason?
Thank you. No real updates on the airport commission. It was informational items only. There was just brief discussion on the projects like the ILS project and the SRE and where we're at with those. And they're both substantially completed. We just have some minor items to go. The ILS needs to be flight checked, so that has to get done through the state and FAA. When that's done, we can close that out. And the SRE, a couple punch list items still being worked through. So largely done. I have nothing else to report tonight.
Thank you. City Attorney Pam Whitmore, are you still with us?
I think she might have signed off. So.
Okay. So the rest of it, there are the administrative briefs and reports, the permits. Let me think here. There's the October Planning Commission meeting minutes, cash and investments, strategic plan and major project updates, the list of building permits and upcoming meetings. Is there any other business that should come before the council tonight?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion has been made by Jim, seconded by Amanda to adjourn. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye,
You can stay.
because you did such a great job, Craig. I just don't want to let it
Thank
go.
you.
Well, thank you all. That's the end.
You declined your own motion.
I did.
You can do that.
Jim.